Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me today. I am so glad to be here. About 4 hours ago, I didn't think I was going to be able to do this. I had a major migraine, couldn't move my head, but thanks to my husband getting me some coffee, taking some Excedrin, drinking some Coke, taking my migraine medicine. Bob suggested some Claritin. I had some Sprite, or no, not Sprite, ginger ale to settle my stomach after all of that medicine, and some Advil and a cold cloth, and asleep for about an hour and a half, and I am not good as new, but definitely better than I was. So there's still something lingering, but I was able to get my act together to share all that I have to share today. I'm really glad to be here today, also because last week was a disaster. I tried to do it. My buttons were missing. I was backwards. I couldn't change anything. Tried twice, and then I found out later that Facebook had a problem. So I ended up deleting my video. I thank everyone that joined me there, and I did post all my cards to Facebook. And if you go to my blog, stampingwithjeannie.com, I not only posted all of the cards, but I also did a little tutorial for all of them. And I will again this week because I really had fun doing that, even though for some people it probably takes just a little while. For me, it takes hours. So I'm sorry if things are late getting out to you. I'm a perfectionist, so I work really hard to make sure that it's good before it goes. So anyway, I had a couple things that I want to share before I start. One of the things that I wanted to share, and I'll show you when I go down so that you can see it. I still have a host code for July, and if you spend $50, I will send you a gift and a card. That's the July host code. There's also a host code for Daisy Lane, and that one is so that I can track who orders that stamp set. It's a special stamp. It's a special host code. Anybody that orders the stamp set, and especially if they order the bundle, will get a tutorial for my Daisy Lane card class. It is 6 cards, and I'm going to get this right. It features the Noble Peacock designer paper, the specialty designer paper, and the Daisy Lane stamp set. You will need both a medium and the regular Daisy punch to complete this. So you might want to do the bundle so that you can get that for 10% off. And then besides that, I'm going to show you these cards again real quick. Besides that, you also get 3 bonus cards that nobody else is going to see unless they get this bundle. Or you just have to buy the stamp set, but you will want the bundle is what I want to say. So here are the cards. It's backwards, but it says friend, and you can see it a little bit. That's the pretty peacock paper. This is confusing. So that's a pretty peacock paper. That's one of the cards. The second card, using pretty peacock, I punched it and I fussy cut the stem out. This is the old olive paper, and this is one of my favorite cards. And then of course there's the perennial centers. And here's another one of the old olive designer paper and another center again, but this uses the Rococo Rose, and it says smile, although it's backwards. And this uses the blueberry bushel, beautiful. And this is my favorite one, blueberry bushel, and you will need copper embossing powder to complete this card. But if you don't have copper embossing powder, use silver or gold or whatever color you have, or order it. Order it on the same code as the Daisy Lane host code, and you will get more bang for your buck. Especially because you want to spend in July, because you get the $50, not $50, for every $50, you get a $5 coupon in the mail that you can use in August. So the more you spend, the more you get. So that's that. Then I wanted to share something else. What else did I want to share with you? Oh, I made this card yesterday. I don't know if you saw it. It's so cute. It says, "Get excited. I love paper pumpkin." This uses the You always deliver stamp set. This mailbox, if you don't recognize it, is from Celebrate with Cake. And the only way to get that stamp set for the mailbox, and there's cake and there's a couple of other sentiments and banners, the only way to get that stamp set is through a special... Hi, Angelique. How are you? Until I flip, I can see you. I'm so glad to see you. Hope the weather is cooler in Holland than it is here. It's very warm here. But anyway, this is from the beginner stamp set. Not beginner stamp set. There's a special brochure that Stampin' Up! Came up with for beginner stampers. And this is one of the easy stamp sets that you can use. And then I ended up popping up Stampin' Up! Because I had to restamp it because it didn't work very well. But anyway, I love Paper Pumpkin. Subscribe by tonight. And for anybody that is in the United States, I'm sorry, Angelique, I won a special thing last week. Last week was Paper Pumpkin Week. Maybe it was 2 weeks ago. Paper Pumpkin Week. And for our region, they had a contest. And that contest was share 5 cards. And I ended up sharing the Paper Pumpkin cards from last month. But share 5 cards. And then comment who you gave these cards to. And they're going to randomly pick people. And I was randomly picked. And I am getting 2 of Shelly's Paper Pumpkin kits. And I think they come tomorrow. So, one lucky person who orders Paper Pumpkin under me, either emailing me or signing up with me as your demonstrator. If you're new, you can get one of these things. I'm going to choose one because I'm keeping one for myself again. So that's the one thing I wanted to share as well. And then, so now let me tell you what I am going to feature today. This is the Joseph's coat technique. And I kind of tucked the ribbon under there because I'm not sure where I'm going to put it. But anyway, I'm going to tell you how to do this. And I made a couple of other cards. 20 degrees Celsius. I'm not sure what that is, but oh, I wish you had Paper Pumpkin because it's so great. They're getting better. They're definitely getting better. But anyway, this, I'm not sure if I'm going to keep the ribbon there. I haven't decided. I kind of tucked it under one of the leaves because I think I'm going to keep it there, but this is such a neat technique, and I'm going to show you how to do that. That uses the Daisy Lane stamp set. Hi, Karen. How are you? Miss you in the neighborhood. Always miss you, but I especially miss walking by your house and seeing you. So anyway, let me get down to, let me get down to business. I'm going to flip you so that you can see. So I'm not going to see everybody that is watching anymore or be able to do the comments, but I am going to be able to share, not backwards, with you. So I'm going to stand up and flip you. Maybe. Yes, there we go. Okay, so there, right here, you see the July host code, and that is for any order in July that you want to order. But if you especially order the Daisy Lane stamp set, you can either use that code or this one, but especially this one. If you order the Daisy Lane stamp set and or bundle, I will send you a tutorial for those cards I showed you at the beginning. So anyway, okay, let me show you this card a little bit closer now. And I have to bring this up because I don't want to get my paper all dirty. So you'll have to just bear with me here. Okay, I think I'm going to even bring this down a little bit more. Okay, so this is the card that we made last night in my card class, and it's so much fun. And I have to tell you, I wrote down the colors because you're not going to believe it, what these colors are. But you start out by sponging color on the card. And this card was sponged with Seaside Spray. You might be able to see that a little bit there. Rococo Rose, that's the pink that you see. And Pear Pizzazz, and that's what it is at the bottom. So we stamped that. And then heat dried it for just a second, and I've got my heat tool off camera here just so I can do it very quickly. You set the colors and then you stamp with Versamark. And with this Versamark, it does an emboss resist type of thing. So you're going to stamp with the Versamark randomly on the paper. And with Versamark, you can't see where you're stamping, unfortunately. So some of my flowers overlapped, but who cares? Anyway, so I'm stamping with the Versamark, the watermark ink, and then I am going to emboss it with some clear embossing powder. And I have to show you this little tool. Anybody that knows Orange Leaf knows that these spoons are from there, and I have a couple of them, and I use that to spoon my embossing powder onto my card. So that's my little tool, and then I keep them all, the different colors, in containers. So this is the clear powder. So we're going to use that in a second. Okay, so let me get to business. Oh, let me show you the next card. So that's using the Daisy Lane stamp set and these colors. Okay, this is the next card I made. And this is completely different. And it's just different colors. So it depends on how brightly you sponge them and what colors you use. So this color, again, I have to actually take the paper off the back so I can see. This is the Enjoy Life stamp set. I use Granny Apple Green, that's the green at the bottom. I use Melon Mambo, which is the pink, and I use Coastal Cabana up in the sky. You can see it a little bit, and Marigold Morning is the yellow. And I just randomly sponged that onto this card. And it came out looking, to me, like Call Me Clover. What I didn't tell you is, last night, after we've embossed this and heat set it, we used Pretty Peacock ink over top, and that gave it that color. This one, I used Bermuda Bay over top, and it gave it that color. So you never know what you're going to come. And this, to me, looks very Call Me Clover. So anyway, and then I have to show you one more thing. This label is from so the stamp set is from Enjoy Life, but this one is from Beautiful You. And it was bigger than I needed. I'm just going to show you one cool thing that I did. Okay, this is my scrap paper, so excuse the scrap paper, but I used the stitched rectangle label die, and you can see that this is much bigger than what I needed. So what I did was I stamped on my scrap paper, I cut it out with the die, and then I put it back in this way so that I cut it short. So in other words, I cut it out of there, and then when I put it back in, I cut the label like this, and that left that much. So I had all that paper left over because I didn't need that much. And that's the great thing about the stitched label dies, stitched rectangle dies. So many times I want to bump up a saying and I don't have the right size die. And this one, I can make it whatever size I want. If I start bigger, I can go smaller. You can't really go from small to big. But anyway, so that's what I did. So I love that card. Okay, so the card we're going to make today this is the Royal Peacock stamp set. Royal Peacock stamp set, but the ink is Pretty Peacock and the designer paper is Noble Peacock. And let me tell you, I never get that straight. But anyway, once again, you're not going to be able to tell from looking at this what colors I use, but I use Seaside Spray, Rococo Rose, which is one of our new colors as well, and Highland Heather, which is purple. I sponge that on my Whisper White cardstock. And then what you do after you do that is I heat set it for a second, do my embossing buddy over it again, and then I stamped with the Royal Peacock stamp. I did the peacock and I did the flowers. And like I said before, I can't tell when I'm stamping with the watermark until afterwards, but wait until you see it. It's like magic. Anyway, and then what I did was I sponged Blueberry Bushel over top, and it came out looking like this. And I just love this card. So this looks like white embossing powder, but it's clear. Make sure you use clear. And then when you're finished, you're going to wipe off the ink that you've sponged on top. This one didn't wipe off. I wonder if I didn't set it enough. It's not as shiny as I would have liked, but anyway, it's still a beautiful card. But anyway, you use a Kleenex or a paper towel and just kind of buff it. Okay, so let me set this aside because I've chosen some different colors. We're going to try something different today. So once again, I'm going to use the Royal Peacock stamp set. But I'm going to show you, I've got to show you something else. So this, I'm going to use Melon Mambo. And I'm going to use Bermuda Bay. And I am going to use Gorgeous Grape. To me, these are very regal colors. And I think the Noble Peacock, Royal Peacock, should be stamped in regal colors. So I don't know if you remember this punch from way back when. Some people might remember it. The file tab label punch. I think I'm going to write something to Stampin' Up! And see if they can bring it back because I love this punch. I cut up my sponges into eighths or even smaller than that and then stapled this on with the Stampin' Up! Stapler that I also love. And I do it in the color ink that I am sponging with so that I never mix my yellows with my reds and either dirty my pads or not come up with the true color I want. So anyway, let me show you what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to start with the Bermuda Bay. And I've got my scrap paper here because I'm going to ink it up. And I hope I'm not shaking this, and I'm going to dot it here. I'm going to start off my paper and I'm going to sponge. This is like nails on a chalkboard type of sound, but stamp here, start off your paper. And this is from Karate Kid. Remember wax on, wax off? Well, you're waxing on right now. Do it again, maybe a little bit up here. No, I didn't want that dark, but that's okay. And I'll do more down here. And you'd kind of do it lightly, but just a nice circular motion. Like I said, you start off the paper. It's easier to add ink than to take it away. You will find that. Okay, so that's my Bermuda Bay. And let me close that ink pad up because, as you can see, I get covered. So, okay, so next I'm going to do some Gorgeous Grape. So I've got my Gorgeous Grape sponge here. I'll do that. I'm going to start off the paper and I'm going to go on like that. Like I said, it's easier to start off the paper and just do a nice circular motion. Once again, that's more ink than I would have liked, but that's okay. Okay, I think that's good for the purple. My Gorgeous Grape, I'm going to close that up so I don't get that all over me again. And now I am going to use Melon Mambo. Nice bright pink color. Starting off the paper. This one is really strong too, so starting light. And what I'm going to do with this one is kind of fill in all, I'm going to go over the other colors, but I'm also going to fill in all those white spots. I don't want any white, and the brighter I do this, the more dramatic this card is going to be. So let's do it like this. Filling in all of my white spots. And I'm sorry this is taking a little bit, but I'm going to fill in all of my white spots. And hello to anybody joining me that's new, since I can't see anymore, but I'm so glad you're joining me. Sharing my favorite hobby here. Like I said, I'm so glad to be feeling better, that anything is good. Okay. Okay. I think that's good. Who knows what this is going to look like? We will see. Because I'm going to top it with Pretty Peacock ink when I finish. So let me, off camera for a second, I'm just going to heat set this for a second. You don't have to take very long. You're just going to dry it just so that the embossing buddy doesn't smear anything, just to make sure your colors are set. And to me, this looks even a bit more dramatic now that it's dried. Okay, so I got my embossing buddy. I'm going to do that so that the Versamark sticks only where I want it to. Okay, so I've got my peacock stamp here. And because this is such a large stamp, I have to tell you what I do. I take the ink to the stamp rather than the stamp to the ink because it's a really, really large area to cover. And I'm going to make sure it's good and inked. And I am stamping this on this pad because I want to make sure that I get the full image. So let me put that there, and I'm going to let it sit for a second just to make sure it's definitely inked up. Okay, and before I remove that, because I don't know where my ink is once I take it away, I'm going to make sure I'm going to do some random flowers. And the flowers, make sure if you're going to do it randomly, you turn your stamp. Otherwise, it does not look random. Well, I can see a little bit. Okay. Beautiful. Maybe one more up top. Because I want to show all these beautiful colors that I sponged. And the only way I'm going to be able to do that is if I've got lots of stamped images. So, now I'm going to take my clear powder. And before I go on, I have to tell you, this class was done last night. Ruth, who is my helper in my class, she's actually my sideline, but she's new to stamping, so she's so energetic and so artistic that it's been really fun. She taught this technique to my customers last night, and I got to learn it too, because I've never done this before. So a special thank you to Ruth. And also to my customers who came last night, who I know totally enjoyed it. Trying not to get my fingers in any of the spot. Okay, I think we're good. So I sprinkled powder on here, and off camera again, I'm just going to very quickly heat set this. I could do it in front of you, but I have to tell you, I've got a non-Stampin' Up! Heat setter, heat tool. I have a Stampin' Up! One as well, but it takes a lot longer. This one is probably stronger than the Stampin' Up! One. And I'm starting to see, I don't know if you can see it, I can start to see a little bit of the clear. Not the peacock yet. Oh, there it comes. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's like magic when it comes, I'm telling you. Love that. Okay, so make sure I get the comb and lots of his tail. And I'm going to finish this card off camera when I finish, because I don't know, once I sponge on this pretty peacock ink, I have no idea what color is going to look best with this. So you're going to have to check back to my page later. I think that's good. Okay, this is when the real magic happens. So I've got Pretty Peacock. Let me close up my embossing powder. I'm trying to stay neat here, which is really, really hard. But my task for this week has been cleaning up my stamp room. And it's been a challenge, because I tend to like my craft supplies. So, okay, so here we go. I'm gonna go over top. And I'm going to really, I think that Ruth said that when she did it, when she stamped her peacock, she did it with like a glitter embossing powder, because that's all that was available to her. And she said that it really ripped up her sponge. but I'm pretty sure it's also because there's a lot of detail to the sponge. Remember, start off the paper. You can always add more, but it's hard to take it away. Nice wax on motion. You're almost beginning to see it, I think. I can see it. Here it comes. Look at that. That is so beautiful. I'm going to cover up that pink because you're going to see it when I... Sorry, I have a hard time talking. I also don't usually stamp sitting down, but I'm feeling like the camera was in my way when I did that, so okay. Really cover all those areas with your sponge. Wax on. And then you're going to see in a second, as soon as I make sure that I've got all my... Boy, that's intense. But that pretty peacock is an intense color. And it's such an intense stamp that it deserves this. Okay, one more thing to do to show you guys. See, cover it again. What I'm going to do is take a tissue here and wipe this away. I could probably use a little bit more ink right there in the corner. That's where my fingers were. But anyway, this is pretty much my wax off. So look at how beautiful that is. And so different from this one, I think. You never know what you're going to get. This is pretty much the pretty peacock color. So I will probably put it on a pretty peacock base. But isn't that beautiful? And I'll probably add some jewels there, some rhinestones. But you will have to check back to see. So there we go. Okay, and there you see again my July host code. There's my website to order from, and the Daisy Lane. If you want the Daisy Lane tutorial for free, you need to order the stamp set. So I'm going to flip again. There we are. Hey, Geraldine. I haven't seen you in ages. I was just driving through, I was in Jamestown, New York this weekend, but I we were driving past Cooperstown, which made me think of Utica, which made me think of Sequoia, which made me think of you, and I miss you. Wish we could get together again. But anyway, thank you all for joining me, and like I said, check back and see what I'm going to do with this card. I may doctor it up a little bit more with some more ink, but check back. So this is called Joseph's Coat, and I'd love to see what you do with it. I'd love to hear that you are doing something special, having fun, because like I said in a description someplace, this is a totally unpredictable technique. You never know what you're going to get. So that's why I haven't finished the card, but I will. Thanks for joining me, Christine. Love you all. And I will see you next week, as long as Facebook cooperates and my migraines stay away. Bye.